Now, there's a lot of failure, of course, in experiments, and I think it's good to learn from that. I think that's what I try to approach also with my students. There's nothing wrong with failure. That's part of research. It's also part of growing up. You try things, you fail, and as long as you learn from that failure, I think that is the important part. Then there is nothing wrong with it.
Welcome to EHA Unplugged, the official podcast channel of the European Hematology Association, EHA. I'm your host, Isabel Olivera, and today we have the pleasure to have Professor Jan Cols. Jan Cols is a full professor in the Department of Human Genetics at KU Leuven in Belgium, where he also serves as the group leader at the VIB KU Leuven in the Center for Cancer Biology. He has served as a board member of EHA and is now the editor-in-chief of EHA's open access journal, Hemasphere. So his dedication to hematology extends well beyond research, and he has been awarded this year at the EHA Congress the EHA Education and Mentoring Award. And we want to hear more about your experience at mentoring students and researchers. First of all, congratulations on this award.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for being here with us.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
So in this podcast, we want to discuss what are the qualities of a good mentor. Then how to learn to be a mentor, if there's a way to learn. And in your case, this skills has expanded well beyond researchers and students to your role in Hemasphere. And finally, how mentoring is changing with all the new tools in this digital era. So I want to congratulate you again on receiving this award because you were nominated by your students and your postdocs. What do you think they appreciate in you?
Oh, that's a difficult question. Yeah, I think what they appreciate I would say definitely is that I try to have a personal approach for each of them. I don't have in mind what a good postdoc, what the best postdoc should be or the best student, because all of them are different. And I try to find their strength, which can be in science, but it can also be outside of science, maybe for their future careers, and try to help them to achieve what they really like to become, not driving them into academic research or into one particular thing that I think of for myself, but I try to see what are they good at, what are they dreaming of, what do they like to do, and then try to give them indications of, with my experience, and how they can use the best of their own strengths to become a very good scientist, or become a very good person in a company, become a very good artist, become a teacher, any type of thing that they want. I think that's maybe not always possible. I think in academic research, many of us or senior people try to see how can we get our students further in academic research and try to build their career there. I think for some of them that's definitely their goal, but for others they might have other aspirations that are outside of academic research. And I have seen some of my postdocs starting their own company in artistic images for research. Others go to a biopharmaceutical company and take leading roles. Others starting their own company. I think you have, as a good mentor, I think you have to let them grow in the way they want and just give them a little bit of a push to do that well, and give them the best possible advice to achieve that.
So what are the qualities of a good mentor?
So I think what I try to do at least is listen, first of all, carefully to what they like, and try to understand then where that's coming from. Some of the students have no idea what they like to do. Do they want to stay in academic research? Do they want to go back to the hospital, maybe if there's a hematologist, and do only clinical work. And I think if you listen well, then you start to hear what they prefer, what they really like to do, or what they get most of their energy out of. And then, of course, you have to match it with their capabilities. Some people have dreams, but you find out that they are potentially not realistic, those dreams. So you have to learn and talk to them on what are then realistic goals to achieve, and maybe you step by step getting there also. So I think as a mentor, that's very important, to have an individual approach. There's no just one approach to mentoring. There's many different ways and many different types of people and many different ways that you can help them. So I had two very good mentors. I learned from them how they approached it in their labs. I learned a lot from them. I took some things over from them. So that's also, I think, how we become a mentor ourselves, by just looking at others, how they do it, and then combine all the good parts that you like. I think it's improved, that there is more and more attention to mentorship. Also from EHA, and with this award, I think it's good to highlight that this is important, and that we also get some knowledge from other sources. There are courses now, more training courses. TRTH is very good. I think that what EHA and ASH are organizing themselves, the TRTH course, where there is also focusing on mentoring the postdocs and the students. I think that has evolved a lot over the past 30 years since I started my first steps. And I think that's very good, because young students and postdocs really need a good mentor to help them get the best out of themselves, and also find their way in this complicated structure. Sometimes that academic research is, but also in companies it can be complicated, and also balance with other personal life. The world is becoming a little bit more complicated, I think. And so mentoring is definitely also more and more important.
So in research, there are more failures than successes. How do you help students keep motivation? And
now, there's a lot of failure, of course, in experiments, and I think it's good to learn from that. I think that's what I try to approach also always with my students. There's nothing wrong with failure. That's part of research. It's also part of growing up. You try things, you fail, and as long as you learn from that failure, I think that is the important part. Then there is nothing wrong with it. So I try to sit together with them, look at why did an experiment fail. Maybe we didn't have the good control. Maybe we were not prepared to do this. So we have to take a step back and prepare better before we repeat it once more. Because nothing is as bad as repeating an experiment 5 times, getting a wrong result or a failed result. So that's important to learn, and then only go back. And also for the trainees and the postdocs and the researchers I mentored, I think it's always important also to allow them to make mistakes. Also in their way they approach their career. You have to mentor, and of course that means you give advice to them how to do things. Sometimes they listen and it works out, then everybody's happy. Sometimes they don't listen to you and they try still something that you said you shouldn't do it, and then they fail sometimes, but that's also important. I think if they don't try something new and something different, and they have the right to fail, and if they learn from it, then that's good. I also had with my own mentors, sometimes they gave me advice that I thought maybe I can do this, and I will try it, and then I failed and I learned from it. I experienced myself that I was not able to do it, and only then I believed them that it was not possible to do. So I think giving our trainees the right to fail once in a while, it's also important. We learn a lot from failure.
Mm-hmm. So you try to find also the right space, when to teach them something or try to help them, and at what point to step back and let them.
Indeed. Yeah, that's important. I think give them some space, give them some freedom to choose some things. I most of the time do not give very strict recommendations. I say you could do this, or you could do that, or you could maybe think of something else. I think all of them have maybe good solutions, but you have to find out what works for you. There's also for one person, one thing works, and for another person, something else works better. So I think it's giving them some advice, but also some freedom I think that's what I feel is very important in mentoring.
Mhm. So let's move on to your role as a Hemisphere editor or editor-in-chief. How has your experience of mentoring students and postdocs translated to your role in Hemisphere?
Yeah, well, I think for Hemisphere, I'm having a team with different members in the EHA office, so different staff in the office who are helping us with the journal, and then a team of editors, associate editors, and scientific editors who all together we make the journal. And then of course you have the authors and the reviewers. So it's becoming a huge team effort. For working with the editors, I think each of the editors again has their own view on what is a good article, how to choose reviewers. They each do that in a slightly different way. How to make recommendations afterwards. So my role is to try to harmonize that as much as possible so that all the authors are treated in a similar way and that we have the same standards among the different editors. But again, I also need to give them some freedom. Every editor has, again, the right to do that a little bit different. We all have a personal touch, and I think that personal touch is also important. I think that creates some diversity, and that's good. But on the other hand, of course, we also have to harmonize a little bit so that we know exactly what are the standards we are standing for, what are we looking at in articles. Is it good enough, not good enough for the journal? Because of course we want to reach a relatively high standard for Hemisphere, and but that works well. I think at the meetings that we have together, at the conference calls that we do, just via email, because each of us works in a different space, in a different place, a different country. So in a way, giving them some freedom, but also try to harmonize things, and in this way that it's not exactly the same as mentoring students, of course, because they are experts in their field. I'm not an expert in many of the fields that they have to evaluate articles on. So the expertise is with them, but then the way we approach it, that's something that we try to harmonize.
So in this effort to harmonize, there is this new initiative from Hemisphere to teach how to peer review. What can you tell us about this new?
So we have a session tomorrow here at the EHA meeting together with Jörg Schwaller, one of our associate editors. We're going to have a session to try to teach a little bit what we expect from a reviewer. If you look at a research article and you have to give feedback as a reviewer for Hemisphere, for example, or for other scientific journals. And there it's very important that the young students and postdocs also get some advice on what to do, what not to do when reviewing articles. I think most of us know that we have to evaluate the science, that we have to look if the good controls are there, if the conclusions that are taken from the experiments are right. But the way you write that and the way you put it forward is something that is not easy to do. And that's especially what we want to show to them, give some good examples of these are good reviews. That's really something that we can use as editor to make our conclusions, and also give them some examples that we would not like to have, and so show some good and some bad examples. Because as a reviewer, you really need to point out if there are problems in the article, or if they are good, what are the good aspects, what are the problematic aspects, but also give some advice or try to give some advice to the editor, what is lacking in this article to make it a strong article that you could potentially consider for the journal. And especially, is this possible or not? Can they do it by doing some extra experiments or doing the data analysis in a slightly different way? Or is it not going to be possible, and is it better to reject the manuscript and maybe have it for another journal? Because, of course, I think most of the manuscripts that we receive can be published somewhere, but we cannot accept everything. We want to select those articles that really bring something new to the field, are really leading the field in a new direction. And so that's why we need to be strict.
So we're now in a digital era. Let's go back to the pandemic. So the pandemic really changed the way we communicate. So it made video conferencing very common. Has this changed the way you have this mentorship relationship with your students, your postdocs in the lab, or how you approach also this your job at Hemisphere?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. I think for Hemisphere, most of our meetings can be online now because it's. I think that's good. We can exchange ideas. We're already all very much on the same line. So I think for just discussions with the editors, an online meeting works well. I think for mentoring students, I would not prefer an online meeting because I think being in the same room, feeling exactly what's going on, and also see how the person reacts on things you say is probably more important there for mentoring than what you can do in an online meeting. You don't see everything, and it's also good to maybe go to the coffee machine together, make a coffee, start chatting a little bit. These are all aspects that we, of course, miss if we do online meetings. And online meetings are good too. They can replace to some extent some things. If one of the students have a question while I'm on a conference or away, an online meeting can definitely be used to quickly come together and discuss something. But for real mentoring, I really like the personal contact, sitting together in the same room or even outside in the sun, and take a moment to discuss in detail with each other what you really want and what you really think. I think so there, online meetings can definitely not replace that. There's a lot of online resources available that can be used. I think also for students and postdocs now, mentoring by your supervisor is one thing, but you can definitely also get some ideas of what it's like in research or what your next career steps can be by watching some recorded discussions by others. So I think in a way these online tools can help and prepare maybe also for a good talk with your own mentor. But the real mentoring still needs to happen in real life.
So they are a complement to this mentoring relationship that is so important to establish with your supervisor.
Right. Yeah. And mentoring is, of course, also not just you do once and then it's over. It's typically going over many years, and you see the student or the postdoc grow, and so that whole relationship is built up over many years. And even after the persons have left your own group, you can still do some mentoring. If you see them at the conference again, and you can discuss a little bit how it's going and give them advice. So it's a continuous relationship.
And now there is AI, so artificial intelligence in everything. Some people are suggesting to use artificial intelligence-based mentors as a replacement of a real mentor. So what do you think about this?
Yeah. At this moment, I don't use AI enough. I think I should use it more, and we should all learn how to use it. That's definitely important. I think for mentoring, I don't know if that can replace a real mentor. Maybe for some aspects again, potentially, but it's always a danger that this artificial intelligence is not completely aware of the whole situation or making up something. So I think it's good to use. It can definitely help you maybe get some ideas, get some information, but then a real mentor is, I think, still needed. And it's important because the real mentor will know much more about the person than the AI.
Some argue that they can establish this relationship with an AI mentor, and then the mentor will remember everything. We never forget anything, and knows everything.
It's maybe also good for a mentor to forget some things rather than to remember everything. I don't know. But who knows? I'm open to all these things, definitely. I think AI, machine learning, all these new tools that are becoming available, to some extent are really impressive what it can do. It can definitely also help for Hemisphere again, for correcting articles or improving articles, improving an abstract. I think many authors already start using that to just improve their English, the way the abstract is written. And I think these are good changes that happen. People use it to improve their text. Some people probably also use it to write it from scratch and to have AI write a whole new story. I think that's dangerous because then there can be errors in it, or it can be the AI can make up some part of the of the story, and so the article is partially fake. So that's dangerous. So we have to be critical about it. But I think, yeah, as we learn to use this, it can definitely become important to some extent, in both in mentoring and in the way we write articles. We correct and improve articles, and we also publish them and have them read out loud. While you're driving your car, you can listen to to an article or so. In the future, that may all become possible. Yeah.
And so AI can replace a bit or help what we're doing, but you cannot replace the relationship that you have with your mentor. So it might be a good tool and provide some answers, but you need this personal touch.
Or the most rewarding thing in mentoring is that it's in a two-way. So I mentor the mentee, but what the mentee is doing, what the trainee is doing, is also helping me in my research. I see how they approach things. I can learn from them, and they can learn from me. And so this two-way approach in the whole mentor-mentee relationship is truly rewarding. And I doubt that artificial intelligence can completely replace this. And so also for the mentor, I think it's very rewarding to see how the trainees are evolving, how they take up your advice, and that you can see that they are then successful.
So if you want our audience to remember just one thing from this podcast, what would it be?
I think about mentoring, I would say to everybody who is mentoring somebody, don't be afraid for your mentees to make a mistake. Let them make a mistake and learn from it. I think that is sometimes more important than to give them very specific advice how to do something. I think, of course, you have to give them advice, but let them then also choose their way of how they're dealing with your advice. And sometimes that will work out, and sometimes maybe not exactly. And so they can also learn from it, because just giving advice and then somebody following it exactly what you told them will also not be successful all the time. So you have to be able to give advice, let your mentees make some mistakes. They learn from it. You sit together to discuss why it failed, or how they can approach it now in the future. And I think that's an important aspect of mentoring.
Mm-hmm. So congratulations again on this award. And I hope you have enjoyed this experience, and all the audience has enjoyed it. And so thank you very much for listening, and stay tuned for more episodes.